نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This video is to explain the amount of Zakat al-Fitr or Fitrana which should be paid at the end of Ramadan. First point of principle is that the Zakat al-Fitr needs to be paid before completing or praying your Eid Salah on Eid al-Fitr. It can be paid any time before, so it doesn't have to be on the way to the masjid or when you get to the masjid for Eid Salah. In the UK, certainly it's customary that in our masajid the people are stood there with bags for collecting Fitrana before you go into the masjid or before you pray your Eid namaz. You put the money in the bags and it's done. That's perfectly fine, but it can be paid at any time before that, during Ramadan or before, as long as it's paid. That's the main objective. What is the quantity or amount of Fitrana or Zakat al-Fitr that needs to be paid? Well, the Fuqaha have written various methods of calculating, and I'll explain each one. The first is the value of 2,150 grams of wheat flour, which is used for making chapati or flatbread in our homes. So whatever brand of flour, because of course in the modern time there are various brands, various qualities at various prices, whatever brand of flour you use in your home, the cost of 2,150 grams of that is the value of Fitrana, which needs to be paid per person in your household. There's no age limitation, or as soon as somebody is born, Fitrana is liable to be paid for that person. The second is the value of 4,300 grams of barley. The third is the value of 4,300 grams of dates. Again, this should be the cost of the dates that you would normally eat in your household. And the fourth is the cost of 4,300 grams of raisins. Traditionally, the cost of Fitrana is normally based on the value of 2,150 grams of wheat flour. This is the most common method of calculating Fitra. This is perfectly fine. However, it is advisable to base your Fitra on dates or raisins, which will actually be much higher in value for those that can easily afford this. Of course, depending on your financial situation, we would say that if you can afford it, then base it on raisins or dates, which will be higher in value. But even if you don't, you base it on wheat flour, then your Fitra will be paid and it will be ada in the eyes of Allah and His Rasul. With respect to Fitra, another common issue is who must the money reach? In other words, who should receive the money, who should it be paid to? And it's the same answer, which is the answer for Zakat, that they must reach the Fakir. A Fakir is that person who owns less than $52.5 of silver, which is approximately 604 grams of silver, or the value of 604 grams of silver in addition to Hajat Asliya, in other words the basic necessities, taking out food, clothing and shelter. If a person owns the equivalent or more of 603 grams of silver, then he or she is not entitled to receive Fitra. In the same way, he or she is not entitled to receive Zakat. Again, this is an issue in our modern society, certainly in Western countries, where it is our responsibility to ensure that our Fitr is being paid to the right people and is going to the right place. And again, the onus is upon the individuals to ensure they do their due diligence and ensure that it's going to the right place. On the Day of Judgment, it won't be enough to say that, well, I just gave it to the mosque, or I gave it to this person. Allah will ask you, well, what measures did you take to even inquire who that institution, that masjid, or that person is paying their the fitra on your behalf to? So as long as you have made inquiries and you've done what is in your power to, and you are satisfied that yes, my money is going to the right place. And by the way, just to mention here, that owning the equivalent of 603 grams of silver or the value thereof in wealth over and above your basic necessities is in no means does it make you rich. You're still a very poor person if that's all you have. But according to the rules of Sharia, you cannot receive zakat and you cannot receive fitra. Sometimes we know people who are very, very poor, but when you speak to them, they might own some gold, or they might own some silver, or they might have a little bit of money put to one side. And if that's the case, and the value of that is the value of 603 grams of silver or more, then unfortunately they are not entitled to that fitra or zakat. You can give them sadaqah, you can give them khairat, you can give them lillah, but you can't pay your fitr. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.